Subscribe to the channel, do it now. News stories every day. Now let's get started. I've always believed marriage comes with seasons, periods of intense closeness and moments when we drift apart, but eventually find our way back. For the first few years of my marriage to Emily, it seemed like we had found our rhythm. We were living in a peaceful suburb in Connecticut, surrounded by friendly neighbors and routine stability. We had a healthy son, Noah, who was the light of our lives, but somewhere along the way, our shared sense of closeness began to fade, replaced by an unsettling silence that left me lying awake at night, questioning everything I thought I knew. What follows is my story, told in raw honesty, in the hope that someone out there might shed light on a path forward. I'm not proud of all my actions, nor am I entirely sure how this will end. But these are the events as I experienced them, the puzzle pieces of marriage in jeopardy. Before Noah was born, Emily and I were like any newly married couple. We had date nights, silly inside jokes, and spontaneous weekends away. We shared the same bed every night, sometimes simply to watch late night shows or talk about our future. What kind of house we'd buy, how many kids we'd have, whether we should adopt a pet. It felt like we were two halves of the same whole. About a year into our marriage, we discovered Emily was pregnant. We were both ecstatic. She teared up when I picked her up and spun her around the kitchen after reading the positive test. I remember how we called our parents with shaky voices full of excitement, how we browsed baby name books for hours, and how we scouted yard sales for secondhand cribs. Noah came into our lives, bringing us immeasurable joy. Those first months were a whirlwind. Sleepless nights, diaper changes, feeding schedules. We were exhausted, but we were also a team. Even if we were both tired, we still found moments of affection. An embrace in the kitchen, a gentle kiss while passing in the hallway. It was our new normal. The change begins. Fast forward to about a year ago when Noah turned 2. I noticed Emily growing distant. It didn't happen overnight. It was more like a slow fading of warmth. She began to decline my invitations to cuddle before bed, or she'd postpone date nights with vague excuses. Me, casually, okay, maybe we could go out Friday, just the two of us. I can ask my sister to babysit Noah. Emily, shrugging, I'm not sure. I feel so worn out lately. Let's see how I'm feeling that day. At first, I understood. Noah was a handful, always running around, climbing on furniture, asking endless questions. Emily was working part-time at a local bookstore, often coming home looking drained. So when she told me she wanted to sleep in the guest room on the second floor for a few nights, just to get uninterrupted rest, I readily agreed. Me, concerned, are you okay? You sure you don't want me to handle Noah if he wakes up? Emily, smiling weakly, I just need a solid night's sleep. Please don't take it personally. A few nights turned into a few weeks, and weeks turned into months. Suddenly, I realized we'd been sleeping apart for nearly 6 months. Intimacy between us dwindled to the point where we could go an entire month without so much as a genuine kiss. Occasionally, I'd bring it up, but she always had an excuse: exhaustion, a headache, or stress from dealing with Noah. I felt guilty for even thinking she might be withholding intimacy deliberately. Over that year, I tried to be the best husband and father I could. I cooked meals, ran errands, and took Noah off Emily's hands to give her downtime. Yet the distance only grew. Emily sometimes locked her phone or tilted it away from me when text or notification popped up. Late at night, after I put Noah to bed, I'd catch glimpses of her glowing phone screen through the crack in the guest room door. She would be tapping away at messages, then quickly set the phone aside whenever I walked closer. I started to wonder if something was wrong in her personal life: stress, anxiety, maybe postpartum issues that lingered. But she never mentioned feeling depressed. In fact, outwardly, she seemed upbeat around Noah, taking him on playdates, signing him up for swim lessons, chatting politely with neighbors. The real red flag appeared when her phone started buzzing into the late hours, sometimes past midnight. If I'd asked who was texting, she'd shrug, saying it was an automated alert or a random friend. One night, around 1 o'clock a.m., I heard the distinct sound of 2 text notifications in quick succession. I got up to check if everything was okay, only to find Emily already pacing the hallway, phone in hand. Me, rubbing my eyes, and who's messaging you at this hour? Emily, forcing a laugh. Oh, it's just Mary from the bookstore. She's going through relationship drama. Sorry if it woke you. One evening, Emily told me she was meeting her old college friend Rachel for coffee in a nearby town. Since Noah was at daycare until 5 o'clock p.m., it seemed like a perfect opportunity for her to have some girl time. However, later that day, Rachel called our landline, chatting away and eventually asking if Emily was free sometime soon. Rachel, cheerful, "Hey, is Emily around? I wanted to see if she's free next week for a coffee date." Me, after a pause, "Next week? I thought you two were meeting today." Rachel, puzzled, "Today? We never planned anything." After that call, my heart began to pound. Emily had lied. She was definitely not meeting Rachel. So who was she meeting, and why the secrecy? I felt a surge of anxiety. I hated the idea of playing detective in my own marriage, but I couldn't deny the alarm bells ringing in my head. The next morning, Emily left around 10 o'clock a.m., presumably for this non-existent coffee date with Rachel. I decided to follow her. I felt like a character in a bad spy movie driving my old SUV a few car lengths behind Emily's Sin. My palms were slick with sweat and my mind was racing. I hoped I was wrong. Maybe she was planning a surprise for me, or maybe she was shopping for Noah. But deep down, I knew I wouldn't find her alone. She parked at a cafe about 20 minutes away. I lingered in the car, crossed the street, peering through the windshield. Soon, a tall, dark-haired man in a casual jacket arrived on foot. He looked around, spotted Emily, and walked over to greet her with an easy familiarity. They went inside together, choosing a corner table. From my vantage point, I couldn't hear their conversation, but I saw the expressions on their faces. Emily leaned in, smiling, occasionally touching his hand on the tabletop. He nodded, seemingly as invested in whatever story she was telling. The sight made my stomach churn. While I'd spent months sleeping alone in our bedroom, she had clearly found comfort, attention, something in another man's presence. I was tempted to march in, demand an explanation, maybe even hurl accusations. But a calmer voice inside me said, "Wait, don't make a scene in public. Gather your thoughts." I snapped a couple of photos with my phone, more out of a desperate need for proof than anything else, and I drove away, heart pounding like a drum. That evening, Emily walked through the door around dinner time. She gave me a kiss on the cheek as if everything was normal. When Noah rushed in, giggling, she scooped him up and asked about his day. I watched them, feeling sick with confusion and betrayal. After Noah was tucked in bed, I found Emily in the kitchen, scrolling on her phone. My anger flared, but I tried to stay calm. Me trying to keep my voice steady. "So, how was coffee with Rachel?" Emily, barely looking up. "It was fine. We talked about old college memories, nothing special." Me, heart pounding. "Really?" Because I got a call from Rachel earlier. She seemed surprised you two were supposedly meeting today. Emily froze, her thumb hovering over the phone screen. She looked up at me, and for a split second there was panic in her eyes, but she quickly masked it. Emily evasively, "Oh, well, she must have forgotten we were meeting. We planned it last minute." Me, "Emily, I followed you today. I saw you with a man at the cafe." Her face went pale, and she set her phone down on the countertop. For a moment, I thought she might come clean, but instead, she crossed her arms defensively. Emily, voice trembling, "You followed me. How could you? That's such an invasion of privacy." Me, voice rising, "I'm sorry I invaded your privacy, but what was I supposed to do? You've been lying to me. Who is he?" Emily, "He's just a friend. Someone from my past. We were catching up." Me, "A friend you never mentioned. A friend you lied about meeting." Emily, "We've been married 5 years. Do you think I'd accept that explanation blindly?" She bit her lip, tears gathering in her eyes. Part of me wanted to hold her, comfort her. Another part of me felt a wave of anger at how quickly she turned the blame on my methods rather than acknowledging her own deceit. Emily, quietly, "Fine. His name is Nathan. We met before you and I got together, and we stayed in touch. I didn't want you to worry or get the wrong idea." Me, "What is the right idea then? Because right now I'm feeling pretty wronged." She hesitated, as if weighing how much to disclose. "Emily, nothing's happened, okay? We're just talking. I've been under so much pressure lately with Noah with the house." Nathan offered a listening ear. Her explanation fell flat. I wanted to believe her, but the image of her leaning in so intimately at the cafe screamed a different story. The widening rift. The conversation ended there, with Emily heading upstairs to her second-floor room, tears on her cheeks. I stood in the hallway, fists clenched, uncertain whether to feel guilty for following her or furious about her betrayal. We didn't speak again that night. Over the next few days, we existed in a tense stalemate. She tiptoed around me as though any casual question might spark another interrogation. I tried to remain calm around Noah. He was too young to understand tension, but children pick up on more than we think. He became clingier with me, perhaps sensing the emotional gap between Emily and me. I replayed scenarios in my head. Maybe Nathan was just an old friend and I was overreacting. But then my mind would flash to the countless nights she'd spent texting someone at odd hours. Her phone always locked, her shift in attitude toward me. If there truly was nothing going on, why wouldn't she be more upfront? Considering divorce, one evening after Noah fell asleep, I found myself staring at legal websites about divorce in Connecticut. A knot formed in my stomach. The idea of splitting up, sharing custody of Noah, dividing our home and assets, it terrified me. Yet living in suspicion and emotional isolation was its own kind of torment. Me thinking aloud, we built this family together. How did we get here? Is it worth ending everything over a man she might have feelings for, or might not? I tried reaching out to an old college friend of mine, Ethan, who's been divorced for 2 years. He told me to consider counseling before making any final decisions. Ethan, on the phone, don't rush into anything, man. If you think there's love left, try therapy. If she refuses or doesn't help it, at least you'll know you gave it your best shot. His words made sense, yet I wondered if Emily would even agree to therapy. She seemed so distant, so wrapped up in her secrets, but the alternative, ending our marriage in a messy confrontation, felt just as daunting. Every night, after Emily retreated to her second-floor bedroom, I'd lie awake in ours, listening to the silence of the house. Noah slept peacefully in his own room, oblivious to our struggles. My mind would swirl with questions. Is she having a full-fledged affair or just an emotional connection? Does she still love me, or is she staying just for the sake of our child? Should I try to salvage what we have, or would letting go be kinder for both of us in the long run? I'd watch the ceiling fan spin, listening for any sounds of stairs, footsteps, or a muffled phone call, but often all I heard was my own pulse thumping in my ears. About a week ago, I heard Emily on a phone call around 11 o'clock p.m. Her door was slightly ajar. I considered walking away, respecting her privacy, but the memory of her cafe meeting urged me to step closer. Emily, quietly, words I could only partially hear. No, he doesn't know. I just need more time. I'm confused. No, I do care about you. Those fragments felt like shards of glass to my heart. She was talking to someone, almost certainly Nathan. She cared about him, was confused, needed more time. More time for what? When I tiptoed back to my room, I realized I was done living in denial. I needed clarity one way or another. My confession to the world. And that brings me here, sharing my story publicly, hoping for some semblance of guidance or empathy. 5 years of marriage, a beautiful 3-year-old son, a house we worked so hard to purchase, potentially unraveling before my eyes. The wife I love, who once laughed at all my jokes and snuggled close on lazy Sunday mornings, has built a wall between us I can't seem to tear down. I'm torn between confronting her outright and demanding we see a marriage counselor, or stepping back and letting her choose whether she wants to be with me at all. Part of me wonders if I should track down this Nathan and have a man-to-man talk. But I also fear that might push Emily away permanently. And then there's the nuclear option, filing for divorce, racing for a custody battle, and trying to piece my life together afterward. Which path is right? I honestly don't know. All I do know is that I love my son more than anything, and I don't want him to grow up in a home thick with tension and secrets. But I also owe it to myself not to live in a marriage where I feel second best to a stranger, reaching out for help. So here I am, typing these words at nearly midnight in our master bedroom, alone as usual. I can hear Emily moving around upstairs, probably pacing while texting or on another phone call. Maybe she's trying to sleep off the guilt she claims she doesn't have. My chest tightens at the thought that tomorrow might hold yet another day of guarded conversations and forced smiles. I'm sharing my story in the hope that someone out there might say, I've been through this, here's what helped me. Or don't give up just yet. There's a chance to rebuild. Or maybe they'll say, get out while you can. And that's the push I need. I can't decide alone. My emotions are too tangled. No matter what happens, I know one thing. I can't keep drifting in this silent second floor separation from my own wife. The distance is slowly breaking my heart, and I refuse to let it break my spirit. If Emily is done with us, I need her to say so. If she's uncertain, then I need to hear it in her own words. But if she truly loves me and wants to save what we once had, she has to be willing to fight alongside me, not in secret with another man. I'm at a crossroads, and I'm pleading for any insight, any comment, any wisdom, because no matter how alone I feel in this house at night, I have to believe I'm not alone in this struggle. There are others who've walked this rocky road, others who've navigated betrayal, confusion, or fear and found a way forward, who get together or apart. Perhaps tomorrow I'll knock on her door, heart pounding, and suggest we talk. Maybe I'll propose counseling. Maybe I'll ask if she wants me to leave. Whatever comes next, I know we can't continue pretending everything is fine. I'd rather face the painful truth than live in a constant web of uncertainty. So, to anyone reading, what do I do? Do I confront her fully again, risking an all out fight? Do I propose therapy even if she's not eager to admit her feelings? Do I track down Nathan and set boundaries, or do I start over on my own, bracing for a new chapter away from the second floor silence? This is my story written in the rawest form I can manage without dissolving into anger or heartbreak. My only hope is that by sharing it, I might find the courage to take the next step, whatever that might be, and that maybe someone out there will show me a guiding light in this darkness.